What would you do if the person who stole your dream was the same person you trusted with it? This is a real story from Austin, Texas. And by the end of it, you might think differently about who you share your plans with and why some dreams are safer in silence. Stay with me, because this story doesn't end the way you expect. Daniel Carter was 27 years old. He worked as a barista in a small coffee shop on South Congress Avenue, not because it was his dream job, because it paid the bills while he built something bigger. Daniel had the kind of personality people trusted instantly. He remembered customers' names. He wrote little smiley faces on coffee cups. And when someone looked like they were having a bad day, he'd quietly slide them an extra cookie. That was Daniel. Generous, open, maybe a little too open. But behind the espresso machine, there was something else about him. Every night after work, he went home to a tiny apartment with a second-hand desk. And there, under the yellow glow of a desk lamp, Daniel worked on an idea. A small mobile coffee cart business, not a regular cart, a beautifully designed vintage-style coffee cart that could appear at parks, weddings, markets. He had sketches, budgets, marketing plans. For 8 months, he worked on it quietly. Because to Daniel, it wasn't just a business. It was proof he could build something of his own, something real, something that meant his life could be more than just pouring coffee for someone else. Daniel didn't keep the dream completely to himself. There was one person he trusted with it, Marcus Reed. Marcus had been Daniel's best friend since community college. They watched games together, shared late-night tacos, talked about life. Marcus was confident, outgoing. The kind of guy who always seemed 2 steps ahead. Daniel admired that. Sometimes Marcus joked that Daniel was too nice for business, but he always said it with a laugh. One night they sat on Daniel's couch surrounded by scattered papers. Marcus leaned forward. "Man, this idea is actually good." Daniel smiled nervously. "You think so?" Marcus nodded. "You could really do something with this." It was the kind of moment that felt like encouragement, the kind that makes you believe you're not crazy for dreaming. And that night, Daniel felt something powerful. Support. What he didn't realize was that encouragement and interest can look very similar, until one of them turns into something else. A week later, Marcus asked more questions, a lot more. How would you fund it? Where would you launch first? Have you checked permits? Daniel answered everything, not because Marcus demanded it, because he trusted him. And when Marcus asked if he could see Daniel's design mock-ups for the cart, Daniel hesitated. Just a second. But then he handed over his laptop, because some people believe sharing dreams makes them stronger. Daniel was one of those people. He could have kept parts of the plan private. He had every reason to, but some people simply cannot imagine their closest friend using their hope against them. So he shared everything. Weeks passed. Marcus seemed distracted lately. Texts came slower. Plans got canceled. Daniel assumed Marcus was busy. Life does that sometimes. Meanwhile, Daniel kept working. He saved money, researched suppliers, even picked a name, Roaming Grounds. One evening, Daniel texted Marcus, "Hey man, I'm finally getting close. Might launch in a few months." Marcus replied with a thumbs up. Just that, which felt strange. But Daniel ignored the feeling, because trusting people means you sometimes explain away warning signs. A few days later, Daniel was scrolling through Instagram before bed, just mindlessly, until something made him stop. His thumb froze. Because on Marcus's profile, there was a post, a photo of a beautiful vintage coffee cart, painted white, gold lettering, and the caption read, "Excited to announce my new project launching this month, Roaming Grounds Mobile Coffee." Daniel blinked. Once, twice, because sometimes your brain refuses to process what your eyes just saw. The room felt suddenly quiet, too quiet. Daniel clicked the photo again. Maybe he read it wrong, but the words stayed the same. Roaming Grounds. His name, his idea, his design. Marcus had posted more photos, the cart, the branding, even the exact park Daniel planned for his launch. Daniel's chest felt tight. He grabbed his phone and called Marcus. No answer. Called again. Nothing. Then a text appeared. "Hey man, was going to talk to you about this." Daniel stared at the screen. His hands felt cold. Another message. "Business moves fast. Didn't want to wait." Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, the same bed where he'd spent months planning. His sketches were still on the desk, his notebook still open. The dream hadn't even left the room yet. And somehow, it was already gone. For a long time, he didn't move. Finally, he stood up, walked into the kitchen, boiled water, made tea, and sat by the window in the dark, just breathing. Sometimes survival looks like nothing more than that, just breathing. A few days later, Daniel learned something else, something that hurt even more. Marcus hadn't built the business alone. He had investors, connections, people Daniel never had access to. And Marcus had been asking all those detailed questions for weeks, not out of curiosity, preparation. The truth hit Daniel slowly. Marcus didn't steal the dream in a moment. He built toward it quietly, using Daniel's excitement like a blueprint. But there was another truth hiding inside the pain. Daniel's mistake wasn't dreaming. It was believing that everyone deserves access to your unfinished ideas. Some people see dreams, others see opportunities, and those two things are not always the same. For a while, Daniel considered quitting the idea entirely. What was the point? Marcus launched first. The name was taken. The concept was out there. But one night, Daniel opened his notebook again, not to relive the loss, just to look. The pages were full. Ideas, notes, improvements Marcus hadn't even thought of. Daniel realized something quietly powerful. Marcus had taken the first version of the dream, not the best version. Daniel closed the notebook and made one decision. He wouldn't fight Marcus, wouldn't argue, wouldn't chase revenge. Instead, he would build something better, a new name, a better design. And this time, the dream would stay quiet until it was real. Some plans grow stronger in silence. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone who smiles when you share your plans is celebrating with you. Some are measuring them. Some are studying them. Some are waiting to see if they can move faster than you. That doesn't make the world evil, but it does mean something important. Dreams are fragile in their early stages, and the wrong audience can turn excitement into exposure. But here's the deeper truth. Your power was never in the idea alone. It was in the person who created it, the person who stayed up late, who kept working, who kept believing. Ideas can be copied. Vision cannot. Work ethic cannot. Resilience cannot. And if someone takes your idea before it even begins, that doesn't mean your story ended. Sometimes it just means your real story starts with a quieter strategy. So if you're building something right now, a business, a plan, a future, ask yourself one question. Does this dream need applause or protection? Because the strongest dreams often grow in silence until the day they're too real for anyone to steal. Sometimes the smartest move you'll ever make is telling the world your plan only after it's already working.